match I put on, and they, all standing on their feet, applauding, chanting my name, and it got really emotional. If you ever watch that video again, they're doing the replay of our match, and instead of listening to Cyrus and Joey talk about the match, if you listen in the background, you can actually hear them chanting my name from that. So, and then once I got to the back, Balls Mahoney was clapping, and he gave me a big hug, and said that was one of the greatest matches he's seen. And I think those two parts, as far as were my defining moment. But other than wrestling at ECW, it had to be all the road stuff that went on, and just being on the road with those guys, being a family. And when I say family, I mean never at WCW or WWE. At Christmas time, where these people exchanging gifts, and at ECW, come Christmas time, we always had a show at the ECW Arena, and we all exchanged gifts, and we were like a big family. And that was a special part to me to finally feel like I've made it, and to lose that at the end was a little hard to deal with.
Right. I saw on your blog where you stated how many times are y'all going to do the reunion shows before, I guess, it loses the nostalgia.
Right.
Can you elaborate on your feelings? Do you think that it's just done? That will you go back, try and get into TNA or maybe ROH or anything like that, or are you content to work the indie scene?
I would, if TNA, I would love to do something at TNA because I never had a fair shot there. I had one tryout match to where all the agents say I had the best match of the night, and then I didn't get a job, which never made sense to me. Ring of Honor has gone a different way with their wrestling now. They're not so much crazy acrobatics. They're going more old school. I mean, you got a great champ with Jerry Lynn, and I would love to do some stuff there. I don't know how many, like I said, I don't know how many times you can keep doing the ECW stuff before the people just say, all right, enough's enough, because everybody's, 10-plus years older. A lot of the guys can't go like they could, and you don't want to ruin the memory of what ECW was. You don't want to see a broken down, let's just say, for instance, a broken down Raven, Balls Mahoney, myself, Too Cold Scorpio, those guys like that. You don't want to see us at the end of our career where we can't hardly move. You want to remember us for what we used to do and what we used to be able to do. And, I'm a lucky guy to be able to still be able to wrestle and still be able to go to some extent. And I don't want to get to the point where they're still doing these shows and I come in and can't hardly move. I don't want to give the fans anything less than 100%. And there's going to come a day if they keep doing these, because I hear Shane Douglas is trying to do one. Francine's talking about doing another one, that the fans are going to stop caring. And that's really going to be bad, because us guys never, the guys that were there that Saturday night are ones that were mostly there at the end and were screwed on money and screwed on seeing everybody again, but that was what was special about that show. And that's what we're living on, is 10 years ago when we got cut short, and that's what, when we were all joking and carrying on, it felt like, like I told everybody in my blog, when I walked through the curtain to work Scorpio that night, it felt like it was the year 2000 all over again.
Right. Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask a question from FSP in the chat room. He was just asking, who is it that you looked up to, coming up? Well, once you really got into the game, because you said you really wasn't into wrestling all that much, but who were the wrestlers that you looked up to?
My idol, that in baseball I had an idol, and I actually got this tattoo on my leg. In wrestling, I had an idol too, and it was Bobby Eaton. There was a guy that I wanted to be. The guy that you could go out there and put him in a ring with a broomstick, and he was going to give you a 5-star match. He got over in the tag team. He didn't really get over as much as a singles guy. But when he went out there, it didn't matter who he was in the ring with, Barry Windham, Arn Anderson, George South, anybody like that, he was going to give you a 5-star match, and that's who I looked up to. And I remember when I was at ECW and Paul told me he was going to bring Bobby in to work with me to run a program, it was like a school kid. I was like kind of giddy. And I remember when the first time I met Bobby Eaton, he's sitting in there talking to Paul Heyman in one of the rooms, and I walked in, saw Bobby, had to turn around and go in another room and compose myself, because I was such a mark for this guy. It's the first time I've ever seen him in person. And, this is the guy that I wanted to be like. I patterned my stuff after. And here he is. I'm getting ready to work a match with him, and I'll go in the other room, and, I had to, calm myself down because my adrenaline and my heart was beating 100 miles an hour.
Wow. Now you mentioned the tattoo of your baseball idol. Who is that?
His name was Benito Santiago.
Catcher.
He was a catcher for the San Diego Padres. He did a lot of traveling, and he really didn't become well known, I guess you could say, as far as his status until he was a catcher for the Giants during the Barry Bonds era. So that's who I really, because he was known for throwing guys out from his knees, and that's what I kind of patterned was, because I had such a strong arm. I never stood up. I dropped down to one knee and throw a guy out at second, pick him off first, third, so it didn't matter where he was at, and that's who I wanted to be like.
All right, yeah, I'm familiar with Benito. Yeah.
Definitely. Now, you're coming up here in what is it, August the 15th. You're scheduled to do a show for NCW. They're labeling it the Ballpark Bash. It's in Camden, New Jersey. Do you know? I know you probably have a lot of tour dates. Do you know the one I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I do. I don't have that many dates. It ain't like it used to be. It's about one a month, which is perfect for me right now.
All right. I know they're doing stuff for the fallen troops, I believe it is. Is that the cause for this one? Do you know?
I guess that the guy that's doing it. The only reason I know this guy is if you know much about any of the people listening, and you guys know the story of my herniated disc in my back and the liver failure and the liver problems I had like that, and the night I actually heard it when I worked Spike Dudley, this is the guy that, helped Shane Douglas take me to a car. Never met the kid before in my life, didn't know who he was. He took me to his car, put me in the car, took me to my hotel room, and made sure wheelchaired me through the airport the next morning to make sure I got home safely. That's the only reason I knew him, and that's one of the main reasons I did, decided to do his show. But he booked me a while back. Just spoke to him the other day, and as far as I know, everything's still on. I don't even know. To be honest with you, I don't even know who I'm working. Who I'm doing this against. As far as from what I've heard, that's what it's for. Is a benefit for the troops.
Right. Okay. Because I'm looking at the flyer, and it's a pretty stacked card. And in addition to yourself, it looks like they've got the Anvil Neihard and Jerry Lynn and Al Snow and Lanny Papa is going to be doing introductions or doing a poem or something. So looks like they've got a pretty solid card of some names up there, along with the indie guys. So I know they're doing it on a baseball field, a minor league baseball field, which should be interesting in itself.
Yeah, I actually wrestled Sandman one time on a baseball field down in Florida, to where I had to chase him around. He was in a golf cart going around the ball field drunk, and I had to chase him down.
I was about to ask if he was sober.
It was over. Not to mention it was 2:00 in the morning because the game got delayed for rain, and we didn't go on till like 1:30. And he come in the dugout, threw the trash can out, hopped in the bullpen car, and was running around the outfield swinging his cane with nobody around. I'm having to chase him down to start the match.
Wow.
Staying on that, where would that be like the craziest locale for a match that you've had on a baseball field?
A baseball field. Let's see. I actually did one a few years ago in a church parking lot.
Wow.
All right. I had the show. The show was about 2.5 hours away from my house. I had just gotten back from Japan like a couple of days before, so my time was off. I overslept. Me and Chili Willie are rushing to the place, and I called the guy. We're still 2 hours away now. It's about 4 o'clock. I called the guy that's the promoter, said, "Hey, me and Chili are on the way. We're running late. We'll be there about 6. Plenty of time for the show to start." He goes, "CW, the show starts at 4 o'clock." I'm like, "Well, great. Well, we'll be there when we can. Stall." So we had that when we got there. We were 2 blocks down where they wanted us to park. We had to go in these people's backyards and climb their chain link fence to get in the back door. I'm like, I cannot believe I've gone from wrestling in front of 50,000 people at the Tokyo Dome to climbing somebody's fence at a church.
I would love to see that. Not going, wow, that's C.W. Anderson and Chili Willie.
Yeah. Maybe they come for our barbecue. Ask if they want a burger.
Right.
So what was it like? What's it like wrestling? I know Japan's a whole different culture, and do they still? I haven't seen any recent tapes. Are they still quiet? With the occasional applaud, What's the fan culture?
That was